Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It, and this one was a little bit of a bittersweet one to do, considering this was Chadwick Boseman's final film. But today I'm going to review the Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman film Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, based on the play of the same name from playwright August Wilson. I'll give you my thoughts and review right after the jump. Real quick, if you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you'll be among the first to know. So this one was a bit of a hard one to watch. This is the final film that we're going to get from Chadwick. Um, for anyone who knows, August Wilson is a playwright who takes moments within normal, everyday Black people's lives and sort of just takes a window or bird's eye view and just looks at them, the ups, downs, the complexities, the issues, the problems, all within the life of everyday African Americans. Fences is one of his plays. This is Piano Lessons, another. Um, and my understanding is that Denzel has created a production company that is going to kind of do all of the August or the majority of the August Wilson plays. This one's directed by George C. Wolfe, and he puts together a movie that is some very strong acting performances. You know, it's always interesting with plays that are made into films. Fences is one. This is another. Anytime you do that, there's a bit of a disconnect from some audiences who don't quite know what they're getting from the flow, the syncopation of how words and plays are like stacked on top of each other, and that it is just shot and done in a different way than what would be a traditional screenplay turned into a film. Plays have a very different just rhythm to it, and it's a lot like watching a poem, or like a play, like I say, a poem or a play filmed in a way that is not the traditional way that people watch TV or movies. That said, I think what George C. Wolfe does as a director is utterly brilliant with this, and I think that both there are many great performances in this, but obviously the ones that people are going to talk about the most are Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman, who both are phenomenal. To give a little plot of what Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is, it's essentially about Ma Rainey, who was a jazz singer, but a, a bit of a lesser known jazz singer compared to someone like Bessie Smith, who I think that world made her look, her not being as harsh, her not being as brash and raw as Ma Rainey. Bessie was a little bit more acceptable and palatable towards audiences of the Caucasian fare, and so she became a bigger name. Ma Rainey was around at the same time and sort of known as the mother of blues. Um, this film takes a snapshot of her towards more so the tail end of her career, um, and how big she is in the South and in those places when she goes up north. There are some things that she has to do. There are games that she has to play to keep some sort of control over the thing that they being the record companies and and everyone else are trying to take away from them. And even though it seems like it's better up north back then, where they're like, oh yeah, just free slaves, go back up north and free all that stuff. It's clearly still a very different world than even if you're as famous or as well known as Ma Rainey, still a very different world for them. And then that's going to be sort of her side looking at holding under the control, and then you have someone like Levy, played by Chadwick Boseman, who is younger and hasn't really gone through the ringer or hasn't really gone through all of those damaging things professionally. He's gone through some damaging things personally that put him in a situation where he is very defensive, always on guard, questioning everything, but he has a drive for something that is so pure to him. He loves music and wants to do it himself that he is not really always thinking through things. He wants stuff now. He's not patient, and his lack of patience puts him in situations where he is doing things to at a disadvantage, and he's doing things to sort of self sabotage and sabotage others without really seeing the entire big picture. There are some scenes in this. There are some scenes in this play, this movie, that you're gonna get choked up for two reasons. One, because Chadwick is acting his damn ass off, but two, because it's the last time you know that it's the last time you're going to see Chadwick be able to put forth a tour de force like this. Viola and Chadwick a lot of times just like a fixed center in the middle, and they're sort of rotating around it, and you don't really get the two of them going tit for tat until pretty much the final act, and even then it's not that long. The majority of the time that Levy is on screen, he is on screen with the rest of the jazz band players, as is Ma Rainey. When they do meet, it's great, but the majority of his scenes, the majority of his emotional beats come at him, sort of having a discussion with the boys. And that's what's always been sort of good about August Wilson plays. Their conversations in the everyday minutia of what happens in African American lives and worlds. And man, it hit hard. It hits hard. I don't want. I'm not going to spoil it or go into it for folks who have not ever seen any of August Wilson's work or seen Ma Rainey specifically. But just know that even in the short runtime that this movie is, there it packs a punch on both ends, both Viola and Chadwick. But I would not be surprised. This is going to be on a lot of people's best pictures list, but it definitely is going to be on a list of having um, best supporting actor and best actress. The both of them will be nominated because the performances are just it's fantastic. Um, Sad. The story itself is sad, not just that, but to know that Chadwick was ill and he put his damn foot into this role makes this and what you get even more satisfying because it's just well, once you get past the sadness, you just smile and say he went out swinging, doing what he loved, and it's just fantastic to see. So on that scale of once is enough, play it again, Sam, or give me a time stone so I never have to think about this film again. This is a play it again, Sam. This is one of the best films I've seen this year. Some of the best performances I've seen this year. Great direction, great screenplay. I think turning. There are some choices that this film does differently than the book. The book takes place in winter. This takes place in the summer, where so things are a little bit more heated and a little bit more aggressive when everybody's sweating and hot and trying to get a Coca Cola. It just feels more intense. I also suggest after you watch the Netflix film, My Rainey's Black Bottom, there's a special that sort of auto plays. That's about 30 minutes right afterwards. That kind of gives you a little bit more insight into the behind the scenes of August Wilson's work, George C. Wolfe, Bradford Marsalis, who's an accompanied and well-known musician who also helps the musical aspects of this film, and Denzel is a producer, kind of all speak about different aspects of the movie. But I think it's a good look to see. I think if some people are having a hard time digesting this movie as a film, not realizing that it's a play, I think that piece afterward will help you sort of understand where they're coming from, and then after you see that, go back and rewatch, and I think you'll have a better understanding and a better appreciation for what it is you just saw. But if you want, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that is on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other place podcast. We're there. We've been quiet for a little while because there haven't really been any movies. But we have an entire back catalog. Feel free to go listen to those. We also have a sister podcast that's called You Can't Do That Anymore, where we talk about classic films like American Beauty and Tropic Thunder and Gone with the Wind. Look at those films through the eyes of today and see if some of the things that they got away with back then, if they can do those today. But like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.